Hey guys, welcome to your final take home STEM challenge. So, for this last challenge, I wanted to go out with a bang and give you a two-part activity. You should have your kit. You guys are going to make overnight salt crystals. And then, if you want to, you have the option of a second activity, taking those crystals, pouring them into a clear plastic lid, and making your own homemade sun catchers. So, we're about to take a 3-day journey, grow some overnight salt crystals, create some sun catchers, and really just enjoy the beauty of STEM as we finish up these challenges. Let's go. You'll see that I have our materials split up into two different kinds of groups. These are the materials that you'll receive inside your kit. You're getting 250 milliliters of Epsom salt. You're given 2 lids, 2 pieces of string, and your directions. You're not going to need these lids or this string until you do the sun catchers activity. So I'm going to go ahead and sit this over to the side. This is what you're going to need to provide on your own. You're going to need a measuring cup that can measure out 1 cup. So this is more than a cup of Epsom salt. I wanted to make sure I gave you just a little bit extra. So you're going to actually need to measure out this salt into this measuring cup. You're going to need a spoon. You're going to need some kind of glass jar or a glass cup with a cup of water measured out. Food coloring is optional. And then this wasn't actually listed on the instructions, but if you have a few pebbles, that would be great as well. I just went and scavenged these from the parking lot of the middle school. So you can find them anywhere, guys. Let's go ahead and get started growing our overnight salt crystals. We're going to talk about how it works when it's over. Hopefully I'm holding up a glass jar full of beautiful salt crystals. That's when we'll talk about the science behind it. I want you to make sure you take some time to read the warning. They are very small. These crystals are very small and delicate. You're not going to be growing like stalactites and stalagmites inside of this jar. Step 1 says to add a cup of Epsom salt to your jar. Because I already have my water in my jar, we're going to move to step 2, and then I'm going to come back and add my Epsom salt. So, add 1 cup of water to a microwave safe bowl. Well, I have it already in my jar, and this jar is microwave safe. Heat the water in the microwave for 45 seconds. I'm going to do that now. Make sure that you're careful because your water is going to be warm. Step 3 says if you are using food coloring, add a dash to the water and stir. I have some red food coloring. I'm going to add just a drop. I think I'll add 2. And I'm going to stir that up. And now I'm going to add my cup of Epsom salt to the jar. So I want you to see that I'm measuring this out and that I'm going to have a little bit left over. Don't go and dump the whole bag of salt in your jar. See, there's a little bit left. We're going to dump it in. And then step 4 says to stir the water for 1 to 2 minutes to dissolve the salt. Make sure you know that it says not to worry if some of your salt remains undissolved at the bottom of the jar. I stirred mine for exactly 2 minutes. Now is when these pebbles are important. Step 5 says to drop in a pebble or a few grains of sand. Crystals need something to grow on, and one little impurity in the water, like a grain of sand, will help make sure that they have a place to nucleate or to grow. So I'm going to grab a couple of these little pebbles. 1, 2, and I'm going to drop them down in there. Step 6 says to place the jar in the back of your refrigerator. Alternatively, you can quick cool the mixture for 10 minutes in the freezer and then move it to the refrigerator. Don't forget to move it. And then you want to leave the mixture overnight in the fridge. Crystals may start forming in as little as 3 hours, but the best results occur when the gardens are made in the evening and left to sit undisturbed overnight. So I'm going to go sit this in the freezer for 10 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and then when my timer goes off, I'm going to put it in the fridge, and we're going to leave it in there the rest of the night. And I will see you tomorrow with hopefully a beautiful jar of pink crystals. Hey guys, so now we're on day 2 of our last take-home STEM challenge. Last night, you should have had your overnight crystal gardens in the refrigerator. I had mine in the fridge, and here's what I have. So you can see underneath, we have some salt crystals that have formed. I wanted to explain to you exactly what happened. What is the science behind this? So, if you look on your instructions, it says how it works. In our overnight crystals, we first mix up a super saturated batch of salt water. Saturated means that we have lots and lots of salt compared to the amount of water we have. So because they are equal proportions, really you've got way more salt than you need. As the mixture both cools in the refrigerator and the water begins to evaporate, the atoms in the salt start reforming around the pebbles or sand particles, causing the salt crystals to reform in new geometric formations. I'm going to do a close-up on my salt crystals here in just a second so you can see exactly what they look like. I talked to Miss Unger, one of our science teachers, who actually gave me the idea for an awesome bonus activity that I included in your bag. But Miss Unger, while we were talking about it, she explained that this thing is really about evaporation. You have so much salt in that solution, that liquid that you mixed up, that as the water evaporates, your salt is left over, and that's what creates these crystals. You see that I have 2 different containers here. So this first container is the solution that I made yesterday. And if I hold it up, you can see down to the bottom, it almost looks like a layer of frost. Well, that's not because it got cold. That's the actual salt crystals. Every good teacher knows to have a backup, so I created an additional salt crystal formation. And look, that one you can really see. Check out those salt crystals. It's crazy because it really does look like frost, but it's not. These are your salt crystals. So I hope you guys really enjoyed doing this activity. This is only part 1. Next, we're going to go into part 2 where we take some of the leftover solution and we pour it on the lids that were included in your STEM kit this week. We're going to create some sun catchers. And when you tune into that video, I'm actually going to give you a very quick part 3 where you can use a pipe cleaner and a pencil to hopefully watch your salt gardens creep up this pipe cleaner while you put it in your jar and create something else. So I hope you guys enjoyed. See you later.